The greatness of Hispanity. The Hispanic race. When the Spaniards arrived in America and in later trips, they only did it in small groups of discoverers and adventurers, perhaps groups of 50 to 100 individuals, and of course they could not invade or submit peoples of many thousands of Indians. So they only had to agree and be friendly and condescending with these natives and try to let them live in their territory, an issue that normally happened. In addition, the character of the Spaniards, little racist, without contempt and accustomed to mixing with other races, in addition to being almost all men who wanted to establish themselves in those territories, since all this facilitated the rapid pairing with the native breeds. The Indian tribes offered their women to the new visitors to have peace and concord among them, and these delighted to be considered members of the communities. And this form and system always remained in similar terms, as those who arrived in America never became wave of Spaniards, but small groups of adventurers. Well, this method of union of interest that on a small scale could be uninteresting, however, over the years and centuries would form the birth of a new mixture of races, that although somewhat different according to the territories, as a whole, a new breed, or Hispanic race, with both cultural, language, religions, etc., which represents that, a new breed out of the mixture of Indians and Spanish, but already with similar and common characteristics among them. Of course not everything would be a pink story, but in particular cases there will have been excesses, crimes, and abuses of power, but as in everything, it is the generality that does and gives consistency to history. But summarizing and disallowing the black legend of Hispanity, the Spaniards could never exterminate the Indians as this legend says, because they never had the capacity or number of combatants for it, in addition to being integrated with the natives from the first moment. And yes, they did create a new race or type of individual, the Latin American, which is what bothers the most inventors and maintainers of this black legend. For all this I hope that one day the Peninsular Spaniards and all Latin American come to understand the scope of their history and feel happy to have offered and accepted, mutually, of the American Indians their blood, biology, culture, language, etc., etc., to create our new race. Well, this whole mixture of races and cultures that with an impartial vision could be defined as a small epic in the history of humanity, for its detractors it is a real, unforgeable and monstrous historical error that must be hidden, and hidden even if they are with the more aberrant and uncertain historical inventions. How the Spaniards go to create a new race, when we have exterminated all Indians, North America, all Aborigines, Australia, millions of blacks exterminated in Congo, Central Africa, etc. No, we must invent a terrible story of murders and exterminations by the Spaniards, black legend. And so while they destroy Columbus statues, which only a few months in America, of the Jesuits and Franciscans who taught their doctrines and culture methods to the Indians, because with all the cynicism of the world they continue to maintain the American leaders who exterminated hundreds of thousands of Indians, also Chinese, with famous names such as Stanford, etc., etc. Pure cynicism. Of course, this Anglo-preponderance that is dominating and installed throughout the world such as relativity and quantum mechanics. Pure mental manipulation.